Welcome to Stories Behind the Wealth, the show where high-earning professionals discover the real-life moments behind financial success with your host, Gaffar Chowdhury. For almost 2 decades, he's helped successful individuals and business owners navigate wealth with clarity and confidence. On this show, we go beyond the spreadsheets, sharing the turning points, mind shifts, and personal stories that shape how people manage money and life. Money talks. We listen. And what we hear might just change the way you think.
Welcome back to Stories Behind the Wealth, the show where we pull back the curtain on the people, decisions, and turning points that build real companies. I'm your host, Gaffar Chowdhury, and today's guest is Aarti Smith, someone whose story starts not with a business plan, but with a tragedy. Aarti is the founder, president, and CEO of Chainbridge Solutions, a Fairfax-based technology firm that builds mission-critical software protecting the U.S. federal workforce and national security. She founded Chainbridge in 2010 after watching her alma mater, Virginia Tech, grapple with the aftermath of the 2007 shooting, and asking herself what role technology could play in keeping people safe. Since then, she's grown that mission into an award-winning company with over 100 employees, partnerships with agencies like the Department of Justice and the FBI, and a 2026 CCAP Executive of the Year nomination to her name. Welcome to the show, Aarti Smith.
Thank you so much, Gaffar. It's lovely to be with you.
I'm so happy we could make this work. Thanks for making the time.
Same. Yeah, absolutely. It's my pleasure. I'm excited.
So before we get into Chainbridge, because I know there's a lot to talk about there, I want to start with you. Where did you grow up and what kind of kid were you?
So I was born in New Delhi, India. I was the youngest of 3 kids to very traditional and conservative parents. So I'm about 7.5 years younger to my eldest sibling, who is my brother, and 9.5 years younger to my other sibling, who is my sister. And so I sort of grew up with 2 sets of parents. I had my siblings sort of looking over me and bossing me around, and then of course I had my parents. So yeah, we were just a typical family growing in India, and my dad made a great decision to come to this country when I was about 4 years old. So within a year, we were here. And I think I was always a bossy child. I think I learned that by the 2 sets of parents that I had. And so I would do these things after school. Once we came to this country, I'd gather all my friends and we'd get together at my house, and then I would give them instructions on projects that they would be doing. And so, my parents joke that I had that sort of entrepreneurial spirit from day one. But I had the luxury of watching my father build a business. And that was an amazing experience, front row seat to that as a kid. I learned a lot of lessons through that, and heard his stories about, different challenges. And it just inspired me. And I can remember at a very early age just wanting to own a company and run something that was meaningful to me.
That's fantastic. Yeah. You've obviously done that, and I can't wait to get into it. So you're a fellow Hokie. You went to Virginia Tech for both undergrad and a master's in electrical engineering. What drew you to engineering, and was that always a part of the plan?
It wasn't. It really, Indian parents. So you're either a doctor or you're an engineer. I think when I was younger, I had aspirations of becoming an architect, and I shared that with my dad, and he was like, "No, you don't. No, you don't. You just want to be an engineer." I'm like, "Okay." So it was sort of directed to me at a very early age. And the gap between my brother and I allowed me to see his journey at Virginia Tech as well. with an engineering degree in electrical engineering, and I saw that, and I heard a lot of wonderful things from him, and so it was really him who pushed me and said, you really want to do this. It gives you lots of options. His pitch was, you can go super technical and be in a lab, or you can go super high level management. So you have a pretty broad spectrum if you study engineering. And so that was it. The decision was made.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then you went on to get your master's and keep
I
it going?
did.
Yeah.
I did. Virginia Tech is so special to me, and if anyone's ever been there, it's this big drill field, this massive field, and buildings all around with dorms sprinkled across, and of course academic buildings. And there's beautiful Burris Hall, which is the main, you know, signature, I would say, of the campus. And it was just so beautiful. And those 4 years just went so quickly. And I didn't feel that itch to go out and start my work experience. I wanted to just hang on to the um, collegiate sort of vibe and atmosphere for just a little while longer. So I wanted to go ahead and stay, and it made sense to do my master's degree. I felt like that that got me off to a really good start in the workforce. So it was twofold.
Yeah. Blacksburg is certainly a special place, and I know a lot of Hokies that feel exactly what you just shared. So you were a alumna in 2007 when the
Mhm,
shooting happened.
mhm.
I know that hits differently when it's your school and your community.
Yes.
I happened to be there. That was my junior year at Virginia Tech.
Mhm.
Um, can you take us back to that moment and how it planted the seed for what eventually became Chambridge Solutions?
Yeah, absolutely. So, that was a devastating day. It was all over the news. Of course, I had graduated, as you mentioned. I was an alum. Um, I remember my husband and I, who is also my husband is also a Hokie, and so we were just glued to the television. We just couldn't believe what was happening. And so we were seeing sort of the moment by moment updates of what was going on. And it was sort of a full day event, right? It just kept going. The news just kept going. And after that moment, I started to really investigate what happened. I sort of went beyond just the news of the day, and I started to do some research about the individual who the perpetrator of this tragedy, and I learned that he lived, you know, 2 minutes down from my home in Centerville. I learned about all these, I would say, clues or data points that had been going on that all emerged post tragedy. He obtained a weapon illegally. He was getting mental health support. He was in a mental institution for a little while. He had arguments with his roommate. So, all these little clues sort of adding together to paint the picture of a very troubled young man.
Hmm.
And so it occurred to me that, all of these data points were coming to the surface after the tragedy. And that alone was a tragedy, because if we had known any of these things prior, we could have realized that this individual needed help, needed intervention, needed empathy, and somebody could have come in to help him and avoided, the life of 32 individuals going away. So it drew me towards what could I do. Being an engineer, you're always using technology. And so I started thinking about what could we do? What kind of tool would be able to connect all of these dots together? And I did a lot of again, research on, insider threat systems and all of the, the type of things that were available at that time. But it wasn't until I got pulled into a job that an ex-boss of mine pulled me into. I was actually on leave raising my kids, and I got pulled into that job, and he said, we're trying to create this thing. It's called personnel security, and it's where we're really looking across all of the actions of individuals and assessing whether they're suitable for their role and to be in the government. And right away that light bulb went off. This is what I was thinking about back then. This is personnel security. This is what the label for that is. And I was all in, and I'm incredibly passionate about it. And I knew we could be successful creating a tool like this that the government could use to really protect its workforce and protect their assets, both logical and physical security. And so that's history. That's how Chainbridge was born.
Wow, that's fantastic. Very, very meaningful, right?
Yes.
Personally, and obviously now you're providing those services to organizations that need it, and for better or for worse, it's a super important segment of the workforce.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Absolutely. Yes, it's sometimes I'm overly passionate about it. I think that passion has bled into everybody that works at Chainbridge. And that's the most amazing thing. I mean, I see my senior executives, my team, give presentations, and that passion is in everybody. And that's super warming to me to see that this is the outcome of such a bad day, but we're doing good.
yeah. That's amazing. Um, Prior to Chainbridge, you had quite the career as well. You were at SRA International and
Yes.
also at Content Guard, which was
Yes.
were they both Xerox subsidiaries?
SRA was not, but
Okay.
Content Guard was.
Okay.
Yes.
Serious organizations, right?
Hmm.
What did those years teach you that you couldn't have learned any other way?
Yeah. SRA was my first job out of college. I think everyone sort of is deer in the headlights trying to figure it out. Um, It was a beautiful experience. I was part of this cohort of young people that were just coming on out of college across the country. And it was amazing to have sort of this camaraderie with your peers and a lot of fun mixed in with the work, everyone learning, everyone growing. And I sort of started to naturally go towards management, and so at a very young age, I was managing a project at National Geographic with, 20 some people. And it just that was kind of the first step to, okay, maybe I can really do this, and I was leading the group and I was doing okay. And so I thought this is really exciting. And I got the bug in that position. And then I was recruited by my old boss, which is a theme in my career. I got recruited by him at Content Guard, which was Amazon before Amazon came to be.
Wow.
And this company, Content Guard, was trying to digitize books and make them accessible to individuals for download. And it was very exciting. And I think in a startup, you learn to roll up your sleeves and do anything and everything that's asked of you. So that was a different experience because at SRA, the guardrails were on. This is your swim lane. Stay in your swim lane. And it was a great experience. But here, it was free game. Everyone had to do whatever they had to do. And so that was a great learning experience for me. I would say my best experience though came my I wouldn't say best. I would say um, most building towards my role today was a position I had with a small company called List. This is right when I started the company and didn't know if I could make it, didn't know if I could get my first customer. It was a scary time. And I ended up working with a company called List that was woman owned. And I had a great seat at the table for business development. So it was writing proposals, which gave me a really good vantage point of how the whole cycle works. How do you find that customer? How do you understand their pain points? How do you speak to them in a proposal? And then ultimately, how do you win that proposal? And so that was priceless. And after winning several proposals, I was asked to lead one of them because project management was sort of the beginning of my career. And when I led the opportunity, I realized, wow, I've just been given a playbook on how to get that customer, bring them in, and then really help solve their problem. And so that was an incredible learning experience. And I'm super grateful to that company, the owner, and all of those wonderful people that I worked with. I learned a lot.
That's amazing. And that obviously gave you tremendous background to be able to start your own
Yes.
company. Yeah.
Yes.
So you
Yeah.
guys are predominantly in the GovCon space.
We are.
Yeah.
We have a very light contract, one with where we are trying to venture into commercial, but we're very much dedicated to public sector.
Yeah. So, as we all know, the GovCon can be a world of its own. Uh, in
Yes.
in in plain
Especially now.
term, yeah, exactly. In
Yeah.
plain terms, tell us a little bit about what ChangeBridge actually does.
Sure.
Yeah.
So we are an application modernization company. So we build software for federal agencies. However, unlike many companies that also do this, we have a specialty and a niche area of passion and capability. And that's in personnel security, coming back to why I started the company. So we build a variety of software, but I would say predominantly about 80% of what we do is build personnel security and insider threat solutions for our customers. We're heavily focused on FedCiv, also starting to dabble in DoD now, but we've built over, oh gosh, probably 30 now, personnel security solutions, enterprise level solutions across the federal government. And we're really proud of it. We do other things as well, but I think this is sort of the tip of our spear.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And the problem you wake up every day trying to solve, if you were to put that into a couple of sentences, what
Mhm.
is that?
Um, I think we value data. We want data, and we want to use that data to help keep people safe. It's really very simple. So everything we do has some dotted line to safety, security, um, supporting the mission, and keeping the people that work that mission safe.
Absolutely. So now you've deployed over 40 mission critical applications to federal agencies, including the DOJ, as I mentioned earlier, the FBI. How does a small business earn that kind of trust, especially starting out? Because I imagine those agencies just don't hand out contracts.
Right, right. No, they don't. So, I have amazing mentors. There's one in particular who's kind of like a big brother to me. My own brother has also offered me tons of guidance. He's also in GovCon, but there's another gentleman that once told me, Arthi, don't try to do everything. Don't try to boil the ocean because then you're like a lot of other companies and it's going to be hard to differentiate. And his guidance was you're focused on personnel security and workforce security. You started the company for this reason. Stay in that lane. really make yourself the experts in that space. And at the time when he told me this, I thought, well, I want to do all these other things. How are we going to grow then? But I took his advice, and we've been steadily growing since, and it was the best advice. I didn't know it at the time, but retrospectively, it was the best advice because it really made us understand what we were good at and what we were passionate about. And when we went after those deals in the government, we did very well, and we differentiated ourselves immediately. We were that company that focused on workforce security. And so I think, the natural tendency of a small business was, at least for me, it was, okay, well, I see something, I can do that. Yeah, I can do that. I can do this, I can do this, and I can do that. And you want to bid on everything. But as you grow, you realize you can't win everything. And you really have to know what you're good at and go after those opportunities. So that gentleman is really smart, and I'm really grateful for his guidance. But that's what we do. We stick to what we know, and we do it really well.
Yeah, that's great advice. Isn't there a saying, the riches are in the niches?
Yes,
Right?
that is true.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes,
I, it's proven to be true for you so far with how quickly and how well you guys have grown, right? And developed
yes,
a niche in the GovCon space,
yeah,
right?
yes.
And how many employees do you have now at Chainbridge,
We're just
roughly?
over 100.
Okay.
Yes.
What's been the hardest part of scaling? Was it people, process, or just landing the right contracts?
I think it's holding on to the culture that you create very early when you're 5 people, 10 people. um that culture is like you're on fire, right? Everybody's folding up their sleeves, getting their hands dirty. It's just such a cohesive team effort because you're 5 people. You can walk down the path here in the office and talk to anybody you need. And I think it takes work to make sure that your culture does not dilute as the company grows. Um, and I had no idea what that meant when I started the company. And as we grew, one day I walked into our office. This is before COVID, and somebody was sitting in a cubicle, and I was like, "Who is this?" Did not know, and it made me incredibly uncomfortable that there was someone working in the office that I did not know. And so I started this tradition, if you will, where every time we bring somebody on 2 weeks in, I meet them one on one, and I talk to them, and I understand, their family, their background, why they chose us, what they liked about the onboarding process, just sort of get to know them because it's just so important. And so, some people tell me I shouldn't be doing this, I can't scale, but I will do it for as long as I can because it gives me connection, and it helps create that culture that we want so badly.
Absolutely. Not to mention how that individual feels after meeting with the person that started the organization.
Yes, I hear
Right.
it a lot. They say, never met the CEO and had a one-on-one conversation with the CEO before.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it feels good to give that attention to anyone, any hire, doesn't matter the role.
Yeah. And I'm sure over time, as that person learns more and more about the culture, they're probably ready to run through a brick wall for you. You know?
Well, I don't know about that, but I certainly hope that they value the company, and they understand that the leadership is very committed to them, supporting their culture, listening to them. That doesn't always happen.
Yeah.
So we're working hard on that piece.
That's fantastic. Speaking of leadership, you lead Chain Bridges partnership with Fairfax County schools and the STEP program, which
Yes.
offers employment training to students with disabilities. Where does that commitment come from personally?
It's actually very, very personal. So, one of our children, we have two sets of twins, and our second set of twins, our older of that set, has autism, and he's pretty high functioning, but it was a, I don't know, every emotion you can ever imagine in the early days up until when he was somewhat independent. And so when he graduated from high school, for his next step, college was just not an option at that point. And so we found out through our Fairfax County partners that there was a program called STEP, a Secondary Transition to Employment Program. And this was an option for kids who were not college bound. And so my son joined the group, and it was fruitful beyond our expectations. My husband and I were just shocked at how social our son became. He had a better social life than we did. He was planning activities with friends every week. He was vocal. He was engaged. He was always listening to us. So we saw some dramatic changes in him. And I was so pleased with that outcome that I said, well, shoot, we should be doing this for more and more kids. So I went to a sponsorship meeting, and I saw the names of all the companies that were sponsoring. And the way the STEP program works is they bring in these kids, they sort of teach them how to present themselves, build a resume, learn how to build a PowerPoint, have interviews, and then they matchmake with companies that are sponsors. And I looked at that list of sponsors, and there really weren't any IT companies. And so I went to the head of that group and I said, "Well, how come you don't have any IT companies?" They said, "Well, some of our kids can't really do well in an office setting." And I said, "Well, let's try that. Let's see if they don't do well. And if they don't, then we'll stop. But let's see, maybe they do well." And so I threw Chainbridge Solutions into the hat of sponsors. And honestly, it's been um, a favorite experience of so many of our employees. I think our team learns more and appreciates their presence more than they appreciate being with us. It's been a great learning experience for our staff. They've learned to, slow down their speech, you know, speak in smaller length of sentences, be discreet in how you're talking about things. So it's been a great experience for us. And we bring in two kids every year for the school duration, the school season. And we teach them how to, um, you know, do work on spreadsheets, work on PowerPoint, build Figma pictures.
Wow.
So we're trying to spread the technical spectrum as much as we can, as much as the individual is willing to learn.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's an amazing program, and we have a learning management system at Chambridge called Udemy, and the kids are using Udemy to learn about AWS and cloud computing and all kinds of things. So. Um, we're really proud of our kiddos, and we're really happy to have the opportunity to work with them. It,
That
it
is really, really
really is
cool.
very rewarding.
Yeah. Yeah. And these are high school students typically.
These are high school students.
Yeah. That's awesome. Being a byproduct of Fairfax County schools myself, I love to hear stuff like that. If there's anything I can do to help support that mission or support you guys in that mission, please let me know. That's awesome.
Oh, I would love to see how we can work together on that.
This is one of my favorite parts of every episode we do. It's
Okay.
the rapid fire round. All right.
Okay.
So
Okay.
short answers, first instinct, and we're just going to go for it.
Okay,
All
I'm
right?
ready.
Best piece of advice you ever received?
Stay in your lane.
Love it. Biggest lesson from a failure?
You can make something out of nothing.
A book every founder should read?
Leaders Eat Last by
Yeah, I
Simon
love that.
Sinek.
Great
Yeah,
book. Great book.
great
Yeah.
book.
What does wealth mean to you if you could put it into one sentence?
I think it means empowerment. You're able to make choices. You're able to do philanthropy. You're able to have freedom. So I think it to me, it's empowerment to make decisions that you would find impossible without it.
Yeah. There's a fun fact about you that we didn't get to, but this question is going to hint to that.
Okay.
Favorite bridge you've ever photographed?
Oh my gosh. Um, there is a gorgeous bridge in Portugal, and it's in a place in the northern part of Portugal in Porto, which is the wine country of Portugal. And my husband and I were there several years ago. And there's this gorgeous bridge, and I wish I had the name for it. I have the picture hanging in my wall, but it has this Spanish name that I can't always remember. But it is beautiful, and it has two levels. And so they when you are taking a tour, they take you to this vantage point where you can actually look down and see those two levels,
Wow.
and it's beautiful. And I have a picture in my office of that vantage point. And not only do you see the bridge that I'm talking about, but you see two other bridges.
Oh,
So
nice.
it's sort of the city of the bridges, Porto, Portugal.
You'll have to send me a picture of that actual picture that
I
you
will.
took. That would be really cool.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah. What's next for Chainbridge in the next, let's say, 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think, in some ways we're trying to navigate the new administration and the new vibe of the government. I think the word that jumps out at me is efficiency. We're hearing a lot of our customers talk about efficiency. And when we really look with a broad lens at what we're doing, I think we can easily find ways to be more efficient. So I think that's definitely in our future. We want to grow, we want to support adjacent use cases. So you'll probably see Chainbridge expand a little bit into areas that complement workforce security. Of course, we're not going to go off and do something as a tangent. Everything will have a dotted line to workforce security. But the goal is to grow, to continue helping federal agencies be safe, and just supporting the individuals that make the mission happen.
That's fantastic. I'm very much looking forward to following that journey.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now, before I let you go, where can people find out more about Chainbridge or where can they connect with you?
Yes, you can go to our website. There's, I think, a information link there where you can reach me. Anyone can find me on LinkedIn. Send me a message. I'm happy to talk to anybody. And we're always putting some information out there on LinkedIn on our company profile. So you can send us any information that you want, any questions you have, you can put them out there. And yeah, I'd love to hear from people directly as well.
That's awesome. So I know we could probably keep this conversation going for at least another hour. I'm very much
Yeah.
enjoying it. But for now, last one. For anyone listening right now who has a business idea they've been sitting on, what do you say to them?
Go talk to your potential customers. Understand their needs, right? You can't sell something and build a business on a great idea that no one wants. So you have to know what your customers' issues are, what their pain points are, and what's going to make their life easier.
Very well said. All right, Aarti Smith, founder, CEO, engineer, and bridge photographer.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being on Stories Behind the Wealth. This was a great conversation.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
My pleasure. And to everyone listening, if this episode moved you, share it with someone that needs to hear it. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Thank you for tuning in to Stories Behind the Wealth. Be sure to click the follow button to be notified when new episodes become available. If you're a busy, accomplished professional or a business owner looking to build confidence in your financial future, visit us at districtwealthstrategies.com or call 202-759-8524 to learn how our team can help. Because money talks, we listen, and the stories are just getting started. The views and opinions expressed are those of the program participants and are not necessarily those of MML Investor Services, LLC. The material is not intended as recommendations appropriate for you. You should strongly consider seeking advice from your own investment specialist. Gaffar Chowdhury is a registered representative of and offers securities through MML Investor Services, LLC, member SIPC, OSJ 530 Gaither Road, Suite 350, Rockville, Maryland, 20850, phone number 301-355-5800. District Wealth Strategies is not a subsidiary or an affiliate of MML Investor Services, LLC.